Hi there, and welcome to Refuge Devos on a Wednesday. I am here with Chase and Jesse.
Whoa.
Worship, college outreach guy here, Chase. And we're just going to talk a little bit about a couple things that we saw this past weekend, which was Resurrection Sunday. We call it Easter. And one of the thoughts I had was that we're here all weekend, and we have 4 services that we are part of, and we get to see a lot of things, and I just wanted to kind of share a couple stories that as we were praying this morning at Devo, we got to share some things that happened this Easter that maybe stood out.
Yeah.
I know I'll start us. One of the cool things that I saw this Easter was that there were some families that I hadn't seen for a while, and just getting to see their faces and like, oh my gosh, and hug them and just, get to kind of connect again, and then hearing them reflect on how great it was to be back as part into the family again. They said they'd been watching online, a couple of them said they'd been watching online, but then they got to come back and they just felt like, oh, we need this. Like that sense of just being in the body with each other and getting to pray with them and talk with them was so cool.
I'd say on the flip side, seeing people that I'd never seen before.
Oh, yeah.
It was like everywhere I looked, it's like, wow, there's so many new people. It was like walking through a mall. It was like, wow, I've never seen you, and hi, I want to shake your hand, and hey, welcome.
Yeah.
I thought that was sweet. It was so cool. We were just talking right before we started filming this, just like, man, how packed it was, how we were adding chairs, and people were out in the cafe, and people were in the overflow, and everyone was just like, we wanted to be there, and I thought that was sweet, just to have new and fresh faces. Or hopefully they could be part of the family.
Yeah, and our heart for them, as you said, Jesse, in those moments is that if they don't belong to a church already, or they're not fellowshipping anywhere, then our heart is to invite them to come, and then allow and invite them to grow in their discipleship, in their walk with Jesus. So it's great to have a full house. We love that. But the reality is, if they're not fellowshipping, we want to be able to plug them in and get them going and growing in their walk with the Lord. So hopefully that happens. That's kind of, if you have something to pray for that this weekend.
Yeah.
I think for me, I feel like just this last season, last few years, last few months, it's easy to look out into the world and just see all the chaos that goes on, right? Like you look out and you're like, and this is rough, this is challenging here, oh, this is not so good, oh, this is going on. And I think when challenging things happen, especially when it comes to like things kind of on the bigger scene, scope of like our country and our world and our stuff within it, right? It's easy, I think, for us, even as believers, to question and say, okay, God, where are you in the midst of that? Like, God, like, what's going on, right? And I think what was so cool is, man, this last Sunday, just being able to see the words of Paul ring true, where he talks about the idea of the gospel is the power of God into salvation, first into the Jew and then into the Greek. And just seeing people raising their hands, like in professions of faith, like trusting Jesus for the first time. I remember it was either you, Geoff, or Bill who had shared. And just looking at the sunrise service and just seeing multiple people like raising their hands, even younger people, older people, some sheepishly raising their hands, right? Where it's like, did you do it? But the core is that they trusted Jesus at that moment. And I think I was just reminded, like, no, God is absolutely still moving amidst all these different things that are going on. And I think it was just such a good encouragement to know that, like, yes, though all these things are going on, and God is working, and his work always continues because that's who he is. Like, he's constantly reconciling people to himself. And so just a reminder to just keep going, keep staying that course. Yes, there might be discouragements in your life, but at the same time, too, the hope of the resurrection is the fact that, man, God brings from times of death things to life, right? And he ultimately brought, and again, that's maybe a stretch, but but again, just knowing that even in seasons like this, God is absolutely bringing people to new life in Christ Jesus.
Yeah. As you mentioned sunrise, I also am just reflecting on the people who showed up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Or What's that?
4:30,
4:30, yeah.
somewhere around there.
Those people like were streaming in to help set up chairs.
Yeah.
I remember in our staff meeting we thought, who's going to get up this early to help set up chairs? And we thought wiped down at the time, but it was pretty dry.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to see like 10 to 15 people in the parking lot setting up chairs and asking, what can I do? What can I do?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I think the volunteers for sure. It was cool to see a church, but also the family that is within that church that really keeps all the gears turning and stuff. It's just like everyone came together. Didn't matter what time, didn't matter if it was Good Friday and then Saturday set up and then Sunday. It was like, hey, we just want to be here. Yeah. We just want to help. And I think that's one of the beautiful things of Refuge is that like that family dynamic. It really comes through week to week and service to service, but especially like around Christmas time or Easter or in the summer for our residents, summer concerts. It's just cool to see like, hey, this is teamwork. Like we're gonna do this together. And so I was really, really blessed by the band and just seeing the volunteers for children's ministry, and the ushers and just everyone that was out serving. It was I think that makes it fun. We could be here and do it by ourselves. But man, like that probably wouldn't be as fun. Yeah, I had a better time with those people.
I think the other thing I'd say too is I really enjoy the way the Refuge family, whether they're volunteers or they're people who come to Refuge, and I guess I'm talking about people who aren't staff, not us. The way that I look and I see them interacting with new faces, and it's not something that's like we don't have a class on how to do that. It just like it almost just spills over from who they are in the Lord and their desire to see people connect with Jesus. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I also love that song that you did.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, I know that it was like, I don't know if but it was good.
It was so awesome to see how the Lord works through something where maybe you're like, oh man, I don't really know this song. Or, Bill had sent it and was like, hey, we got to do this. And I was like, all right, I'm going to learn it.
Yeah. What day did he send it to?
He sent it maybe a couple weeks before.
Okay,
yeah, I had a little bit of time. I had some time, but I was like, oh man.
What was the name of the song?
Remember by Brian and Katie Torwall.
Okay.
And it was so cool that in my heart, I was like, oh man, I don't know if that was as good as I could have done or, if it was done well, and yet people just seem to be blessed by it. And I think it's a nice little lesson to tag on, like, hey, the Lord works in your weakest moments. Yeah. Or he's just going to work regardless through you or through the next person. And so I was blessed that all of us were able to be used over the weekend. And hopefully everyone else was blessed.
Yeah.
Also, too, I was going to say that, Geoff, you and Bill did an amazing job, too.
Thanks.
Yeah. I feel
Very
like
nice.
the way that you guys both shared together, it was very complimentary, right? Like, cool. It could be debatable who was the melody, who was the harmony, but it was working together.
Let's debate that right now.
Good stuff.
But again, it all worked so beautifully together, and I felt like, man, you guys were just a one heart, and that was just a beautiful picture of unity. Cool. But also, I thought you guys just did a great, just clear job of bringing the gospel fresh to them.
Cool. Well, it's fun to get to do it with him. And it's fun to get to do this every week with y'all. And so thanks for joining us on Refuge Devos. And we'll see you again next week.
We should put like a theme song at the beginning and end of these things.
Let's do it. Let's put it in the comments below.
Oh, comment a song. Remember by Brian and Katie.
Torwall.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.